A to the K.
To the K.
To the K.
Hello, one and all. Welcome to the A to the K Wrestling Show. We're back once again, another week.
You renegade master.
It's gonna really, it's gonna die a death. That joke.
Nah, it'll keep going forever and ever.
Yeah.
Kind of like our show.
Yes, whether you like it or not.
Or not.
Speaking of things that whether you like or not, we've got some news for you. So
Yay.
coming up tonight in the Ringside Report. Cody Rhodes and Becky Lynch returns confirmed.
WWE is making major changes to premium live events.
Hopefully calling them pay-per-views. AEW, new show in the works.
Ronda Rousey wants to rename the Women's WWE Championship.
Triple H gets COVID and Road Dogg runs Monday Night Raw and NXT.
AAA and Disney Plus are joining forces to create a new show.
Like that, Triple H and AAA.
Just yes.
Diamond Dallas Page has an upcoming episode of the A&E biography series.
I imagine that'll be almost as good as the episode of A to the K that he featured on.
Yes, maybe.
Sammy Guevara is set to work as a backstage reporter.
The Rock potentially going to have a behind-the-scenes role with WWE.
Chris Jericho has signed a 3-year extension with AEW.
Hangman Adam Page suffers a severe concussion last night at Dynamite.
And Ace Steel has been released from AEW after biting again.
Anthony, when's all that coming up?
It's all coming up right fucking now.
Yeah.
I kind of spoiled the last headline.
I'll still never forget the little thing we used to do with the good old Marty back in the day.
And Marty Jannetty
Killed a guy. It was the news for many weeks. Supposedly.
So allegedly.
Allegedly. The first one to talk about, two major names in WWE are set to return relatively soon, and we believe we have confirmation that might be. Now,
What?
Uncle Dave at Wrestling Observer, so probably not. So Uncle Dave has basically said that both Cody and Becky Lynch are still not quite ready to return this
darn
year.
it.
So basically, almost confirming that they're pretty much going to be. So. Two huge surprise entrants there, except surprises,
spoilers.
no more. I think it's kind of what we expected. Really.
It's when it's like second person coming in the Royal Rumble, and it takes 20 minutes for Cody to actually come up his little elevator, and you're like,
I know, I would love it just for his entrance to be going on so long, like a 10-minute entrance, and like another like 3 or 4 guys to come in by the time.
It's like Austin Theory has to come in around him because he's still like,
yeah, I would love it. In the store, taking forever to get to the ring. So I think it's probably in line with a lot of people's. Cody basically, what did he put? He put something out, didn't he, the other week, saying he's now got the strength of like an 11-year-old, but he was pretty strong when he was 11. So yeah,
I don't know why I'm throwing some shit. I like Cody. I really want to see him come back. I think the Royal Rumble's the perfect place to do it. So
it is. I think it's still, the plans, while they are in pencil and may change, the plans still seem set to be Cody versus Mania and Becky versus Ronda. So
I like that as a term. Plans in pencil. I think we should have that as like the name for a segment where we talk about speculation.
I like that.
Plans in pencil.
What do you think?
You heard it here first.
No, they don't like it.
May not be accurate, but you heard it here first.
Well, Dave does it. Yeah, so it's an interesting one. But obviously, if they are going to be the plans, and Cody and Becky both go on to championship matches, that means they both win the Rumble. That'd be a good Rumble if both of them come back and both of them win.
I mean, that is a good point. Good point. I know.
There's never been a bad Rumble except for the last one. You're only as good as your last one, so all Rumbles are bad.
Interesting.
So yeah, you heard it here first. Cody and Becky may or may not return at some point.
Maybe.
Possible. So yeah.
So calm. I think we're both going to be very pleased with this.
I know you will.
I'll get the small amount of it out of the way, because there was some mention of this when they're talking about premium live events. One of the mentions was being a bit more international, out and about, with the success of Cardiff and the success over the last couple of years they've had with Crown Jewel and all the Saudi shows. The suggestion is maybe we get some more premium live events, not in the USA, which is fantastic for the likes of ourselves. We're seeing another one in the UK a lot sooner.
If only Triple H can find the castles.
My favourite thing, something we've moaned about before, is the fact that they're looking at moving away from themed pay-per-views in the sense of, we can still have like Judgment Day and stuff, but like
can we actually have Judgment Day?
I don't know, actually.
Bad example.
But what they want to move away from is like a Hell in a Cell pay-per-view, and then compelling like the match to include a Hell in a Cell, even when the story doesn't merit. They want to get back to having the stipulation be when it's necessary, which I'm confident we've covered many times before, because it got to the point it was a Hell in a Cell for Hell in a Cell's sake, or Extreme Rules for Extreme Rules' sake. And I know we've just had a very successful Extreme Rules, but the same point kind of applies. Is like the match stipulation is a given because that's the pay-per-view you head to. And it's weird because like you go, well, you can't have a pay-per-view named after a match type except for the Royal Rumble. So
that's the one exception.
It has worked successfully, and
technically that's a battle royal.
Okay, so the pay-per-view, the
pay-per-view became so popular it changed the name of the match.
That is a fair point, But I, for one, am a big fan of this. What I don't know, and what they haven't clarified in this, because the example was Hell in a Cell, is whether that would apply for the likes of Money in the Bank, which has become very much a pay-per-view. I think that's probably been a more legitimate pay-per-view in its own right than Hell in a Cell ever was.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw the post on Twitter by Zero News, who obviously we seem to mention every week at this point, but
it's just all over it, man.
They get a lot of stuff really, really accurate and spot on. But I'm really curious about this one. So they basically said that Elimination Chamber is going to won't be one anymore, as well as Hell in a Cell. They're going to bring back King of the Ring.
Ooh, I love it already. No, bring the pay-per-view back, not the gimmick.
Yes,
please God, not the gimmick.
Oh God. Sorry, I think they're going to bring back Unforgiven was the other one, and now this is where I get really kind of dubious around the accuracy of this report. Also mentioned, obviously, can't see them bringing that back with obviously the Owen Hart stuff. That's what all people remember.
Feels like one you'd want to step away from, definitely.
So you kind of had me until you mentioned that one. To be fair, but
unless WWE are just like, okay, we're doing
it. Well, hope. But unless it was like a tribute type thing for Owen, I don't.
It could be. It'd be. Would it be a tribute though, or would it feel a little bit on the nose? Almost disrespectful.
I don't think. I don't know. But I'll tell you what though, I am bloody up for an annual UK pay per view.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, we couldn't get down to Clash, but one a little bit more local. I think it'll be an epic experience. We haven't been to a WWE live event in at least 15 years or something.
Oh, easy, yeah. I can't wait for Clash at the Echo.
Clash at the Echo. I love that. Let's confirm any castles, man. So can't wait for that. But also, obviously, I just saw the picture on here. Day One's apparently gone as well. So the belief is that after Survivor Series, there won't be a pay-per-view till the Rumble. Interesting.
That is interesting.
Oh, that's like November to January.
Doesn't solve the problem you've had where when you have the Rumble and then you have a pay-per-view in between the Rumble and Mania. That's the bit you need to fix.
I know.
Yeah.
But it sounds like they're going to still have something, whether it's Elimination Chamber or No Way Out or whatever. They're going to still have something. They're probably going to be a Saudi show as well.
Saudi in between.
Oh, yeah. But UK shows, I'm all for it.
Bring them on.
All for it. So the next one to talk about, we have got some news of a potential new AEW show. So obviously, there've been talks between AEW and Warner Brothers Discovery, and obviously very popular. Well, there was a show called Road to the Top. I watched it. I watched it.
Okay. What was it about?
Well, it was Healthy's Pathway.
Oh, Dustin.
Yes. So obviously, Cody and Brandy's show. It did get renewed, but obviously they couldn't do that because they left. So that didn't go anywhere.
Slight wrinkle.
So conversations going on between AEW and Warner Brothers Discovery have now yielded a new show in the works, and it's going to follow.
Cards at the top.
Yeah. Well, the plan is it's going to follow. I think it's going to start filming in November, and it's following several stars, kind of their personal lives and behind the scenes. I know Tony Khan's going to be a producer. So,
shame, I would have liked the docuseries about Tony. Like, thinking of names now, could have called it Can't Stop, but spell the can't.
Okay. Tell you what, we should just be in marketing, shouldn't we? Do you remember we were talking about Undertaker's podcast and stuff, and you were like, you should call it dead man talking. It's like, that's the best name for it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
I
not
feel
gonna
like
be called
we've done
that.
a few things like that now.
Like his one man shows, like that, like one dead man show. So yeah, come on. So yeah, but I will. I'd love any kind of backstage, behind the scenes type. To be fair, we got a lot of praise for the stuff we've done with Danny Danino, for example, behind the scenes.
Yeah, and it's interesting areas that people I don't think get enough attention on.
No,
in all fairness,
it just doesn't get explored enough.
I understand because wrestling for so long has been very protected, so you don't get to see behind the curtain.
Yeah,
but let's be honest, that's totally changed now in this day and age. So let's see behind the curtain. We know it's there.
Look, there's the curtain. It moves and everything. So
we know the Wizard of Oz is real.
Tony is the Wizard of Oz. Got more fucking money than you. You didn't see that in the final cut of the actual movie, but he said it. Oh, yeah, I will watch the shit out of this probably. So it's going to get filming in November. Probably going to last around 6 weeks. See, it's 2020.
2023, bitch.
Exciting times.
Nice. So this one, okay, right. Wrap yourself in, Cal. I'm a little unsure about this, right? Because I kind of agree with her, but not in the spirit in which she's doing it.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
That's fair.
This is Ronda Rousey, right? Talking about the Women's Championship and basically saying about how she's pushed before to WWE for not having women in the championship, right? Because you don't have a men's championship. And I'm like, I kind of get a point, right? You have the WWE Championship, you have the Universal Champion, you have the WWE Women's. So I kind of get a point, right? Mm-hmm. And you look at, like, of example being AEW, you have the TBS title. They don't say women's. They just, the TBS is the women's one, the TNT is the men's, right? So that kind of works, right? So giving it a name in its own right. And I'm like, I'm all for that. I totally agree. You know, it doesn't necessarily have to say the women's title, right? But I don't think, like, it's almost sort of inferred, like oh, it's a lesser title because of it. And it's like, what? Really? No. Like, some people will consider it that way, but let's face it, those people are always going to feel that way because, that's just their mentality, isn't it? And I don't think I don't think the spirit of it is just to go, well, we'll call it women's title because it's a lesser title. I think the spirit of it has been like, well, we've got a main championship and a main championship, and we can't call them both the WWE title. Right? And I get it, like, is it fair that the men's one doesn't get men's put in there, but the women's had to? And I don't know. What would you change it to? Because you can't go, well, let's just call it the WWE title because it's not, and then you'd struggle to differentiate between the two. So what would you call it? That would seem fair.
Yeah, it's tricky. I think obviously in the likes of MMA and stuff like that, where this is past there, they at least have weight classes. So it makes it easier. So you've got, the bantamweight, like the women, but even now they call it the women's bantamweight, men's bantamweight. So they still do it in that sense. So
but this is the thing where I'm like, the spirit behind Ronda's comments I find interesting. And this might be a bit unfair, a bit controversial. I think fair to say we've probably proven over the course of our podcast that we're big fans of women's wrestling. So we're trying to come at this. But when she's there going like, yeah, equality and women's wrestling needs more attention and this, that, and next thing. It's like, this is the same woman who in UFC was telling people like, oh, women don't make less money because they're women. They make less money because you get paid what you're worth. I make Dana money, kind of thing. Yeah. You're like, okay, so that mentality's gone out the window because why exactly? Because obviously this is not about drawing money because I don't think a lot of people were too happy with winning the title this time. I certainly went.
Yeah.
And is it down to like a trying to sort of deflect maybe from the fact that people didn't really want to champion this?
Maybe. I mean, I think our heart's in the right place. I think ultimately more women's wrestling, more storylines, all that good stuff. Yeah, which I think a lot of people do totally as well. Agree.
Like the examples she has given, saying about having just one match in, was it the last pay-per-view? And you go, yeah, that's fair. Like it should be more prominent. It's a very difficult thing. It's similar to the whole soccer or football scenario, where you've got to find the balance, haven't you? Because these are businessmen at the end of the day. It's not about gender; it's about business, and they're going, what draws money, right? So when you looked at like soccer, it was like, well, the main fan base are men, and they're tuning in for men's soccer, so that it's trying to draw people in for it to be. A draw. Like if WWE, they did the women's evolution, and it proved to be less popular as a pay-per-view. So then it's made them a little bit squeamish, and that's more of a business and money-making decision than anything, isn't it? And I think it's more about sort of like, I personally think, and it's still a business thing. I'm not saying like it is still WWE's problem and WWE's fault, but you can't just go, well, let's throw more matches on. You kind of have to build the stories first.
Yeah.
Because that's what we're drawn into. We're drawn into the storytelling. Yeah. And but for me, stories do you get? They never tell stories properly.
Yeah, that's where the work needs to take place, though, is around telling and getting on. I think renaming the belts is probably not as big of an issue. Like actually getting them the time.
It's like picking that battle. Like, well, let's start with like I doubt this could work, but like let's say you turn around and went like the writers. They don't know what gender they're writing. Like they can't go, well, those two stars and write a story for them. You just have to write a story based on their story writing skills. It could be men or women, and then you don't get any sort of perceived bias then because they didn't know who they're writing for. I don't know if that'd be possible because you kind of have to know the characters to know what you're writing for. But I feel sometimes like, well, the stories are never written as well, sadly, and I think that's because probably the writers they kind of veer towards like women's storylines, if you will. Do you know what I mean? Like,
and it's one of them. We've seen in other promotions like women win titles that were traditionally won by men and things like that. You've seen China win the title for. So I kind of get what she's saying, but at the same time, it's at the end of the day, the majority of people who fight for those two belts are women. The majority of people who fight for the. So it's like, well, either call it the men's and the women's to make it equal. Or
I mean, that could be one way of doing it. Yeah.
At the minute, like, what do you do if you call them the world title? Like, well, confused on it, I guess.
But because you're never done with the battle, are you? Because let's say you had like, okay, we'll combine. We've got the unified championship anyway, so we'll just have one men's title, the universal title, and we'll call the women's title the WWE title. Then, what's the perception? Is the universe bigger than WWE? Yeah. Like literally, it is. But like,
well, yeah.
So then you go, well, are we still calling it a lesser title? You have one universe and one world. Is that still a lesser title? Like, you're never done with the argument unless like it's balanced in that sense. So you go just call it men's and women's. And
yeah, exactly. It's one of them. It's like it's an interesting topic, but focus should be on how do you start getting more storylines in the women's division.
Not recent, but look at the recent examples of like even as late as I want to say 2020, maybe 2021, when they brought Liv back and repackaged her. And within minutes it turned into over-the-top soap opera. No, I'm not in love with Miro. I'm in love with Lana. And you're like,
I mean,
that's the kind of storyline shit you're getting there.
Yeah.
And then you look at like the execution of like the Fiend as a character and stuff like that, and you go, well, I've said this about Abaddon.
Yeah.
When you go, well, she could be as mythic or intimidating as a character as like the Fiend or the Undertaker. Given the right time and storyline, and we barely see her now, which is a shame. But that could be the same thing. Like I don't know. To me, it is like it needs more focus on the writing front, and maybe it needs a shake up in the writing room for people to actually do that. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. It's something I'd love to see as well, but I just think the name of the title seems more trivial at the moment than actually doing what's more important is getting more focus on.
Exactly.
Interesting stuff. Speaking of interesting stuff, so I think a lot of people were shocked when Triple H was now running things in WWE. I don't think many people expected Road Dogg to now be running things in WWE now. Obviously, only on an interim basis as Triple H has tested positive for COVID. That meant Raw on Monday and NXT yesterday. He wasn't either. I don't think there's any confirmation whether or not he's going to be Friday. But in his absence, Road Dogg himself was apparently in control of the shows.
Like I say, like this is no disrespect to Road Dogg when I say it, but you just always assume his go-to. Maybe Sean was busy with NXT because but and that's no disrespect to the credibility of Road Dogg.
But I think he got brought in. He replaced Jeff Jarrett, didn't he? Jeff Jarrett got brought in as basically so that's what Road Dogg does now because I don't think Triple H travels for the live events. He just does the main shows. Sense, So I think Road Dogg's got experience of putting them together. So he's let you do it for the sense, TV. Obviously, he's done stuff in NXT in the past. He's been picture there with Sean and Matt Bloom. For those watching us, sorry to the listeners.
Well, for the listeners, there's a picture of Road Dogg sat with Sean and Matt Bloom.
I know we should really do some like audio. Yeah, really, shouldn't we? Anthony smiles. Al Lapid.
Al picks his nose. Carl keeps picking his nose.
Carl, will you stop picking your nose? Interesting. I don't think many people thought Road Dogg. I don't think anyone was like, "Wow, Road Dogg's going to run things." It's while not a long-term thing. Who knows what that means in the future for him?
Indeed.
Potentially experience now running shows, and who knows? Maybe Road Dogg could be the guy running things in the future.
Brave new world.
Madness.
A brave new world. So Carl, right? A lot of people were aware that a little while back, AAA, or the Lucha Libre Triple. I don't know what the full title is, but AAA wrestling anyway. They had like a bit of a deal going with Disney or Marvel, in which they had obviously Marvel characters wrestling at their events. It seems that is now going to be expanding, and in a bit, Disney Plus have got they want to sort of make more sort of content in that area. So, like sort of focusing on possibly maybe just sort of Disney Plus in Mexico. We don't know. Presumably, it's going to be available everywhere, but so far we're not sure if it's going to be Mexico or globally. But they're looking at pushing more content towards the sort of Lucha Libre side of things. They're actually going to be doing a new show in sort of line with AAA about sort of
the Marvel characters.
Essentially, essentially becoming like a wrestler, essentially, Yeah. So it's like, I think they call it's not behind the mask, but it's something along that line of like, the in terms of the obviously the classic lucha style mask, and sort of building up that like, becoming a wrestler and that good fight between good and evil, typical superhero stuff, but in that lucha libre style, which will be interesting and fantastic. And I certainly hope they put it out globally rather than, obviously the market they're looking at is Mexico initially, so well, that's probably where it's going to do best. But I really hope that it does come across. I'd love to watch it, you know what I mean? So rather than getting something, I'm not trying to throw an advert out there, but
we can at least get them to pay us.
I know, right? It'd be nice if Disney Plus would push it out across all of their platforms, which is something we're not too sure on yet. But
it's fascinating. AAA is on Pro Wrestling TV with us, so interesting to see how that would work if they can across multiple platforms and the like. But
this is the thing, I think, because I was thinking that it's like, is this the start of them moving away from like specifically wrestling TV content? But I think AAA will still be its own thing, but
have like a separate
like
series.
They have like a TV series based on wrestling. So that's
fascinating. I know we reported on it. I think it was like, might have even been long ago. Spider-Man, Venom, characters like that were going to start showing up there, and I believe they have done in. I don't know whether it's dribs and drabs, so they've definitely had presence in play. So interesting, they've now expanded on that partnership.
I think it's a really cool fusion of like two entities, isn't it? Really,
a lot of wrestling fans by proxy tend to love hero movies and stuff. So exactly. It's like, well,
I just happens to be wearing a Marvel t-shirt right now.
Look at this, you corporate shill. I've got a Macho Man.
Well, you are a match.
I am. YMCA, one of them. So the next one to talk about, friend of the show, Dallas Page himself,
as we like to call him.
Dally. I still think that's the coolest thing ever. By the way, I got called out on this today in the Fancy Faction chat. I was like, have a conversation. Like, well, I think Devon said it best, and one of the guys from Cheap Pop Wrestling was like, "What? Have you guys interviewed Devon?" I was like, "All right, shut up. I know, but maybe we go on about it too much. Maybe. I'm proud of us, damn it." But, obviously, DDP just still surreal to this day. We had him on the show, and he's got such a fascinating story. We had about 30 questions lined up for him. He answered about 4, but it was just because he was just talk.
We devolved from people who were going to do an interview to tell us more.
Please tell us more, Dally. It's pretty much how it went down, but he's got an episode coming up on the latest series of the A&E biographies, kind of documentary series that they do around partnership with WWE. So I think this is going to be fascinating. He said himself that they've got a load of stuff from his time in like the AWA and Florida Championship Wrestling and stuff pre-WCW that a lot of people don't know about. Obviously, Dally's story, he entered wrestling very, very he first was kind of to own like strip clubs and stuff in Vegas and Florida, Miami, and first got into wrestling when he was just driving a Cadillac WrestleMania entrance, and it was just like hang around like that. So obviously crazy to think all them stories we only got a taste when chatting to him. So I think it's gonna be fascinating. Whether you've ever seen many of the A&E documentary series, it's kind of like obviously Dark Side of the Ring is very darker. Funny that. Maybe just put that in the name.
Interesting.
A&E's biography series definitely doesn't go into things in as much detail. We've seen a couple of comparisons with Darkseid featuring a certain wrestler and A&E thing, and they're ridiculously less harsh, if you will. So it's one of them. I don't think it's going to be like a cutting, type thing. That's not really what they're about, but they are a bloody good watch. So if you haven't seen any of the current series, I recommend
so
it.
British.
They're bloody good watch. Bloody good watch them. So pour yourself a cup of tea and enjoy.
Put a few episodes on any.
I don't know whether you saw Dynamite as well yesterday. Obviously Tuesday night then. So we can actually talk about it. But I love William Regal's promo. He was so fucking British and everything. But yeah, so anyway, before we get distracted, check it out. I don't know when it's actually going to come out. I don't know who else is going to be in the line. But I know for a fact the episode is going to If you haven't seen any of the A&E ones already, check them out. Bloody good. Bloody good. Bloody good TV.
Well, Carl, is an unusual one for you.
Yeah, didn't have this on my bingo card.
I know, right? So, Sammy Guevara has been approached to be a backstage reporter at this stage.
Yeah. I think backstage reporter and commentator, I think, is the official.
I'm going to have to remind myself of the name of the show because I'm super professional like that. I can't remember what it was.
We cover a lot of news, to be fair.
But that's it. So he's going to be involved in the Global Titans event, which is on the screen, so that would have been easier.
Yes, it's kind of cut off, to be fair to you. I didn't see it either.
This is... I believe boxing focused. I don't know. It seems to have a bit of mixed because I also believe Bobby Fish is competing in this particular event as well, and he's a kickboxer.
So it's people that can't fight.
Sorry, when I say competing, Bobby Fish is losing in this event. Yeah. But obviously he's a kickboxer, so I don't know. I imagine it'll be kickboxing for him. But you also got the world famous Edgy.
Oh yeah, his size brother.
Yeah, the less talented one.
Yeah.
So. Like the suggestion here, and this has come from Dave Meltzer, is that this is the start of maybe some sort of arrangement where they may work towards Sammy being involved in an actual fight. But obviously it raises the question of at this stage it's just like a backstage sort of say an interviewer, commentator type talent. But you got to wonder whilst Tony's always been really quite open to his talent working in other places, it's an actual fight. It's not. I don't like to say fake for wrestling, but it's not predetermined or choreographed. It's not bumps. It's actual someone trying to hurt you. So you go, well, is he really going to let his talent take that sort of risk?
Yeah,
that'll be an interesting one for me.
Well, Jake Hager competes in Bellator, doesn't he?
He does, and he has MMA. During his time in AEW competed in matches. So
so it's one of them. I think
it's just whether you think he'll let Sammy do it.
Well, it's whether Sammy wants to do it as well. Maybe they're going to allow Ty Mello to do it. She's got a jiu-jitsu background, so maybe she'll get there. But maybe Tony's only agreeing to it.
Isn't she Ty Guevara now? Though?
She goes by Ty Mello, so I don't really know, to be fair. But maybe he took her name.
Sammy Mello. That kind of works.
They call me Sammy Mello. So, who knows? But you'd imagine that there might be something in it for Tony as well. Maybe we're going to see KSI and Deji. WWE have got the Paul brothers. We've got KSI.
It's kind of got that British connection because Tony Khan's obviously, well, Fulham. It's not a proper connection, but he's got Fulham and stuff. So, I know. But it looks to be an interesting event. It's not something I've particularly followed the sort of box. On and off, depending on the calendar. But
boxing's a funny one anyway. It's gone more celebrity focused than actual boxers, hasn't it? You've got KSI's got his own company last weekend, and it was all TikTok stars and stuff. Had stuff before. Again, something similar.
See, the trouble you get, and this is noted because KSI is a really good boxer, and you could argue that. And as much as people really hate him, Jake Paul is, whilst he's not really in the traditional boxing sense, he can box, But then I can't even remember the name, so apologies for this. But one of the things KSI had on was two girls who were TikTok stars who were having a match. Just shocking.
Oh, I saw it. It was that Astrid Wet and
that's the one,
Keely, wasn't it?
Yeah. And you go, that wasn't really. So it is me sitting here like a pro.
Well, to be fair, So Keely's dad, Simple Simon, he was on the other card, which I can't remember who. I think Astro was meant to be on that one as well. It didn't end up happening, but Simple Simon got sparked in about 30 seconds, and he just, at the end of the day, they're not training long enough for it to be amazing fights. You know what I mean? So fair play, anyone
and
who puts on.
They must know what the
in
product is, because like KSI, who trained himself, and he's won a couple of different matches now.
Yeah.
He knows what it takes to train. So
like we've seen
they
it
must know
ourselves.
it's not a product to be considered like boxing, if you will.
Yeah, they've had like celebrity boxing stuff over here. Maybe Ricky Gervais won it for Comic Relief on your boxing match.
I don't remember that.
Boxing fight, don't I? But yeah, I remember Ricky Gervais, like the most random thing, and having a crap and ended. So I think people like, at the end of the day, the TikTok stars, aren't they?
It's because I'm old and don't understand this. Like, who are these people? Why are they fighting? What's going on?
We're on TikTok. Did we do all right on TikTok for two old bastards?
Yeah, but we don't know how or what we're doing.
How. imagine if we, got our cleave out. No, the meat cleaver, I mean.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah. And start cooking stuff. Like Salt Bay and that. What are you thinking?
Salt Bay, is that one in it?
Yeah. That's Santino, that. What are you on about?
Oh, that was it, yeah.
One of them. So the next one, this is fascinating, right? And it could just be all talk. But The Rock was interviewed on his media junket for the latest film, Black Adam, I assume, that he's got out at the minute.
Did you get invited to that?
Yeah, didn't you?
That's just hurtful.
That's awkward. Yeah, so he was asked a question around obviously WWE and its history there and stuff like that, and basically The Rock said him and Nick Kahn, who you can see in this picture, they've known each other for quite some time. He said that they quite often get together over a glass of Terramana, of course, and make crazy decisions while pissed by the sounds of it. But Nick Kahn has supposedly asked The Rock whether or not he would be interested in some kind of position. Again, behind the scenes, Rock said something along the lines of, grandfather, his father, being in this business, he's been in this business his whole life, he loves the business. So while he may not be board level position, he can definitely see something in that capacity.
The Rock's an interesting character in the sense of like, and this is no disrespect when I say it, but like he considers himself to have like, he has grown up in the business and has been in the business. When you look at his actual tenure in wrestling, he's been more of a movie star than he's been a wrestler, but still has that like that mentality of like he's, which I think's brilliant. It's endearing.
Well, it's family stuff, isn't it?
You got to imagine like whether the intent is always there to go back. Will there ever be a point that he'll be like settling down into some sort of role in WWE when Hollywood's still calling?
Yeah, I can never see The Rock settling down into one role in anything. He's got his Terramana, he's got his 7 Bucks production company, he's got the XFL, he's got comes back and has a match every night. He's a what's the word? Entrepreneur, philanthropist.
Have you seen his cheat days?
Oh yeah,
yeah. Like that man could be a professional. The people who turn up and do the eating contests. He could fucking do that as well if he wanted to as a career.
Rock versus food. There you go. There's a fucking.
That's a show right there.
There's a show.
But yeah, insane, man. I don't know why I brought that up. I'm hungry. But I don't know. I love the fact that he's always got that connection to. He's not forgot his roots. That's super endearing. But like his career outside of the ring has been longer now. Inside, you got to wonder whether whether the mentality might always be there. But is he ever going to go back to wrestling properly, or involved in wrestling, like you say, in a full time capacity? I think it'd be very unlikely. Yeah, there's always irons in the fire for him, isn't there?
I mean, there's still a lot of speculation we might see him at WrestleMania. I think they would be, if they can get him, if his schedule will allow.
It's called WrestleMania Hollywood. Hulk Hogan. Let's be honest.
Please no.
It isn't mad. Like he's still Hollywood Hulk Hogan to a lot of people, but like, Rock's Hollywood.
Oh yeah.
Hogan tiptoed in there, maybe.
If they can make, I mean, to be fair to them, they've set themselves up amazingly for this. They've got like Logan Paul, Rock, got Star Power, like Bad Bunny.
Oh, right.
No Star Power. Got obviously Brock and Cena, and got all these things. They could really have one of the biggest WrestleMania shows,
Hollywood show
all time. But yeah, fascinating to think The Rock may
have John Cena versus
once in a lifetime. Again, I like that though. By the way, good film.
Yeah, well, I have to throw it in there,
of course. You're like, welcome to the jungle.
Hey, certainly gonna give him a rundown.
Hey, what's he done? He's gonna tell you what, John Cena's gonna need the Tooth Fairy when he's finished with it.
It's gonna be Fast and Furious. We'll list of mostly Rock films because Cena's not done a lot.
This is true, actually. Just hope he gets his blockers up.
Daddy's home. Yes.
All right, we're not gonna.
Damn it.
We're not gonna talk that. We're not gonna talk. Perfect.
Green Iron Gang. Anyway, so calm. This one I think's good. I know it's quite polarizing at the moment. Mr. Jericho, a lot of people like to hate, a lot of people like to love, but he is. It's been announced. I don't know if he specifically announced it, but it's been announced that he's actually extended his contract with AEW by another 3 years. And basically, this is going to be not just being an on-screen talent. He's actually going to be involved still in the, I want to say, coaching or mentoring element, but getting involved in the creative side again, which is nice. As I understand it, he took a bit of a back step from that.
Yes.
So this is him stepping back into it, and I've always commended the creativity he had over his own sort of stuff that's going on. If he gets to put that broadly across AEW, I think that'd be enough. And yeah, they were just saying about his choice to do it. He's like, well, why not? He feels like this is sort of, in a way, like his company was here when it started. He was like, the way he said it was like when it started, he was a very well known name, possibly talented guys, but lesser known names. And now, where we are now is like a roster full of people who are super talented, who are well known, and where they've gotten to. So he still has that. I think he referred to it as like AEW's like I think used. So it seems like very much an AEW guy still, and once he signed another 3 years on, so that's Jericho till 2025, baby.
I mean, it shows he clearly believes in the product. Jericho's never been to sit still for long when the things he wants to do in his career. So the fact he signed on shows a lot of faith.
It's interesting. Like I think this would be the worst time for it to happen because of the whole Cody situation. But I always thought like Jericho gonna go back to WWE at some point. Like he is on and off a WWE guy, isn't he? He's like WCW guy, WWE guy, and he comes back. He always comes back eventually. The boomerang of wrestling this far.
You've still got to imagine.
Kind of figured that would happen at some point, and maybe after 2025. But you got to go, well, like come 2025, you might not even want to wrestle anymore. I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, to be fair to him, he took a lot of shit, didn't he? So when he started off in AEW, I think everybody was loving. Still felt like he was massively in his prime, and like 2021 specifically, a lot of people started saying on him, saying that he'd like let himself go and he wasn't good. 2022 Jericho, he's kind of found a return, hasn't he?
I think Tony Khan actually said something along the lines of like he's found the fountain of youth. Was the way he's put it, because he's put on some of the best matches. Yeah. So, which I don't know if I'd go as far as saying the best matches of his career, but he certainly put on some bangers, and he's looking more.
Yeah. It's interesting though as well, because I don't want to shit on him in any way, shape or form, but I've been watching a lot of 2019 AEW segment we did last week, and I don't feel like he's had the creativity that he's previously shown. If that makes sense. And I know Tony's took over creativity.
I think it's now like it's not creative in the same way. Like he's given himself plenty of gimmicks, like calling himself the Ocho or being the Wizard and stuff. I don't think that's like fully fleshed out creative storytelling. He's just like, here's a nickname now.
Yeah,
it's not quite the same.
And like he's had stuff, hasn't he? He's had the inner circle stuff initially was great, and then had the Pinnacle wasn't his. Obviously the JAS now, but was there something else between?
I don't know if there was. I think it was like the inner circle just kept going in slightly different forms, because like Guevara, MJF joined it and then left it. I think MJF set up the Pinnacle.
It all got very kind of, I don't know, lost in the shuffle, didn't it? But like, he used to come up with stuff like the list and all that. Even early AEW, the lexicon, stuff like that was still hilarious. But I don't know. I'd like to see him get more creative freedom for himself, so it's less about like the JAS and all this. A little bit of the bubbly and
what I've been finding interesting the last year or so is like he's almost been doing like a greatest hits, like bringing back the Lionheart, bringing out the Painmaker, and it feels a bit like not a farewell tour. I don't want to say that, but I'm sure he's got plenty of gas. But and it's like it's been less about creativity and more about sort of revisiting a bit of nostalgia.
Well, I mean, I saw something before Ultimo Dragon has put out now saying that he would the opportunity to see him and Jericho, and I'm like, fucking hell, I'm old Ultimo Dragon at this point. So, but again, it would be cool.
I think Ric Flair's emboldened.
Well,
he's 80 odd, so we can still go.
This is true. Well, we saw was it Hoovy? Was it Juventud Guerrero came back, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
And stuff like that. So, seen a few of these things, to be fair, but yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing Ultimo Dragon. But I mean, just phenomenal news though for AEW at a time when we had all this drama with CM Punk and that kind of stuff. Had Moxley sign on for 5 years, Jericho sign.
Two really good people.
Yeah, and two, by all accounts, locker room leaders got back there that they very much rely on.
Well, two people who stepped.
I don't know how long Danielson signed for initially. I know he signed after the rest of them.
He does.
So yeah, I don't know how long they've got him for, but he's another one who. Will he be in AEW forever? Will he go back?
I think he's fully enjoying his time. Combat Club and with
he hasn't been booked amazingly though, has he? To be fair, he's lost a lot.
I don't think so, but I don't know. I think career wise, I think he's enjoying where he is at the minute. Only speculation on my. No, he's not answered any calls yet.
So the next one, very somber news. Anyone who saw Dynamite last night would have seen this event of Moxley versus Hangman. Freak accidents. Obviously, Moxley hit him with a lariat, and Hangman tried to kind of do flip or spin off the back of that, and just landed. Referee, threw up the X, and doctor came in to check on him and basically match out. And it was scary times, to be fair, because it just kind of ended so abruptly.
Do you know what? It was scary, because I think after a few minutes you could see that he was communicating with them, but initially he just landed.
Yeah,
and then didn't.
He landed. He didn't move. It was, what's happened here? And obviously he's had a history of neck problems, all that have kept him out, and it was not his neck. Even Big E, for example, he was one of the first, definitely one of the people. Say thoughts with Hangman. He knows better than anyone what a neck injury can do, and so I think a lot of people very AEW statements not that long after the event to say that he got a medical facility. He's now being discharged with it. It's one of those, it sounds like phew, it's only a concussion, but we know concussion is terrible. And
I think it's one of them, isn't it? You can't go, oh, good news, it was only a concussion, because they can be bad, but I suppose they're in the sense of didn't break his neck or something insane, you know what I mean? So in a way, it could have been worse.
Yeah,
but a concussion still
that's one of them.
Take a lot of care.
It can still take keep you out for a long, long time. I think Adam Cole is still out dealing with concussion stuff. I know Bryan Danielson was out for a bit with concussion.
Because you can't take the risk, can you? Even if they're feeling fine, you need to make sure that you're full.
I know. What I thought was interesting. Chris Nowitzki, don't you remember? He heads up a concussion kind of research, charity and stuff like that at the minute to try and understand the impact of brain injury in the sports world. Put out a tweet as well, just saying fair to anybody who's criticising it was a accident, nothing wrong and that kind of thing, and the AEW referee doctor did everything as quickly as they can to get him sorted. That's all that you can ask for to happen. So
a fair shout. You know what? There's so many experts on the internet.
Yeah,
we won't. Yeah, so many experts on the internet who are criticising them. Nice to these. And going, you know what? Reality is.
Yeah, and it's one of them. I saw a lot of stuff not long after this happened of another injury in AEW. That place is so unsafe. They didn't even watch it. A lot of them, you know what I mean? They were like, "I've not even seen it, but God, I can't believe it." It's so easy. At the end of the day, it's somebody's health. And somebody has, Moxley said something at the promo after the match, which hit home to a degree, saying that I hope he can walk again, can talk again, can play with his kid again. It's you don't know the severity of what this injury is. So for people just going, and then the other side of it, which pissed me off even more than the people, to be honest, was, it's a work. So they could get the MJF promo. And I was like, wrestling fans can be the worst at times, really.
Really can. What a work.
Yeah, it's it's mental. But yeah, I just, hopefully, we say it's just a concussion, but hopefully it is just very, very mild concussion. Long, ultimately.
But the important thing is getting healthy. So, Carl, the last one, and we'll keep it brief because everyone knows why this has happened, but this is the first little bit of news we've had since the whole drama.
Yes.
And that is the fact that Ace Steel is no longer a part of AEW. He's been released from his contract, reported by one Dave Meltzer. And this is a man who was brought in, I believe, production capacity. Ended up doing some stuff with Punk, obviously, but brought in a production capacity. I'm not surprised at this, given the drama and given what happened. And, this is you don't know what fully happened, but he bit a guy. So you got to imagine that's where the releases kind of come from. So we still don't know what's happening with the rest of the guys, but this guy's no longer with AEW.
Yeah, I think I don't know if you saw the massive rant that Dave Meltzer earlier this week, saying like, we haven't provided any updates since this all happened, and blah 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 blah. Like, do they need to? Like, what the fuck's it got to do with you? At the end of the day, there's a legal investigation going on around everything that happened. This now being the first casualty or update off the back of that is that, it seems like Ace Steel is gone, and the whole point is probably because there's no disputing the fact he hit somebody, and that you can't really be doing that in the business world.
No.
So, yeah, he's kind of gone, but
hopefully he finds something. You soon?
Terrible person. But yeah, so it's one of those. I don't know how long he was with AEW. I don't know, what his actual role, just if you will. I know he was said, but yeah, it's interesting how the likes of Punk and stuff can take this. A lot of people seem to think that's it. Punk's done anyway. He's gone. He's never coming back and stuff like that. I'm not too sure. I know Tony Khan loves CM Punk, and if Tony can get him back, he will go out of his way to make that happen.
I think Tony's going to have to measure, isn't he? Whether if they can't settle it between them, do you lose 3 super talented guys versus Punk?
Yeah. Who knows what he will decide to do?
It's a difficult one. I mean, you got to hope that there might be a scenario where everyone can put everything to bed. And you know what? They might even come back, and I don't know if it might be a bit too on the nose, but maybe they could make a story out of the fact none of them. I don't know. But unless they can, learn to get along in some way, then I think Punk has really soured himself to the fans now, which is probably going to be the bigger hurdle. Like, Tony might be over on him, but a lot of people were really pissed off with it. They were. So.
Yeah, it's a very sensitive situation, isn't it? It's very tough, and I think it's, the outcome of that has left kind of relatively thin at a time that they didn't. This, you know what I mean? They've already got Adam Cole out injured, and a couple who are suffering injury, and have these suspensions on top of that as well. Of people like Omega and Punk, who were the event guys, had to do a lot. I honestly don't know. I think Punk's out for a few months anyway, so I don't think we'll know unless he's released out. We'll know for sure whether he's going to come back until he. But Ace Steel, first casualty.
See,
we will see, and that, my friend, was the news this week. So do you want to tell the people what you're drinking? I've broken the rules.
I am drinking.
I'm having.
Went back to the exalted one, didn't you?
Sorry about that.
Not playing the game. Well, this week we've got the Cold Stone Cream Austin pineapple ice cream one. So obviously we tried the original, and this week I'm trying the pineapple. You'll be moving on to the pineapple shortly, I'm sure. But you know what? Very delicious one. That pint of pineapple I was a little bit unsure of, but actually really had something nice to it. I was a big fan of the Cold Stone Cream Austin, the original. But the pineapple one, just that little hint of, it's not too overpowering, but you're still getting that ice cream flavour. But you're getting that hint of pineapple as well. It's it's an absolutely delicious one. The match pairing for this one is Stone Cold versus The Rock, WWE Backlash. Old, 1999. And
interesting.
Yeah, a very. There's a nice stylish can right there with the. The nice stylish can right there. Look, laptop. And yeah, it's just a very delicious drink, Carl. One that I would highly recommend so far, because I feel like I do this every week, and I'm not. Obviously we've got a promo code, and we have them, like, we're sort of partnered with them on the show, and I feel like it might seem like we're embellishing, but genuinely, I have not encountered.
Buy it.
I've not encountered one that I haven't really enjoyed.
To be fair,
there may be one that I could go, that's my favourite so far.
Yeah.
But I've not counted one I haven't really enjoyed.
No.
To the point that, I'm happily variety crate.
Yeah.
With 10% off.
Yeah, damn right. But obviously, I think we're going to be lucky enough to, spoilers. Well, not really spoilers, but we're letting you in on a little secret. I think we're going to be lucky enough to speak to one of the guys from Top Rope.
Great to speak. Process and sort of their story, like not a lot of companies that like.
Yeah. Well, exactly.
Stone Cold.
Well, yeah, they're coming up to the 6th birthday as well, so they've got a lot of festivities coming up. So, nice. Yeah, excited to speak to those guys. So that'll be coming up for me. Yeah, excited. But I know they're doing a lot of stuff to the website at the minute. But when it's back up, if it's not already, make sure you use 8 to the K10. It's just beers over there. You can also find us on Pro Wrestling Tees. A couple of decent designs, I would say.
Maybe some more in the future.
Maybe some more. Yeah, if they don't reject them, because we do like to play it
with a controversial podcast of wrestling, aren't we?
Yeah, we do like to come up with a few things which, don't always go down to. You can buy our logo tees.
I read it.
Sorry. So it's one of those. Yeah, check it out. See if you can, like any of our stuff. And and if you're not watching us on Pro Wrestling TV,
you should be.
Why aren't you doing it? Because as well as us, you can watch the likes of AAA, who we've already talked about on the show today. Yeah. Women's Wrestling Army, Control Your Narrative.
TNT,
our local promotion. Warrior Wrestling. Jinx. And the recent announcement of Major League Wrestling joining. So what a great absolutely awesome as well.
Indeed. So I mean, there's plenty of other talk shows. Is that the right term that we call it?
There's talk shows. There's documentaries.
There's like documentaries. There's, I think, a game show on there. Have you seen that with Tyler Breeze?
Yes, that's on there. Asylum as well, which is that's another good one. They have interviews. A lot of
tons of great content. The whole obviously is Wrestling 24/7. The app is there. There's always something on. They've got the cable channel, the app.
And it's absolutely free.
Just fun of awesome content that's absolutely free. It's free. How can you not enjoy?
Exactly, the home of wrestling, in my opinion.
And if you want 10% off,
we can't do that. Not yet, anyway. We'll see.
So we start paying you.
See how discussions go. But yeah, another fun-filled episode. So we have our favourite wrestling video game segment coming up this week as well, and maybe a little bit of a surprise interview that we'll be speaking to momentarily. So yeah, watch this space for that one as well. So until next time, we will say bye.